Well, hello and thank you for joining me. I'm with Dr. Susie Robinson. She is the Director of Industry Engagement and International for the ATN, which is the Australian Technology Network of Universities. Welcome to the program.
Thanks.
So I thought, I'll say that we're here in Shenzhen for Huawei Seeds of the Future program and to learn about 5G and Internet of Things. But before we get there, can you please tell us about the ATN and what it does, how long it's been around, and perhaps any career highlights you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. So the Australian Technology Network's been in existence for nearly 20 years now.
Wow.
It is a national network of universities, one in each mainland state in Australia. The university members are all Australia's technology-intensive universities.
So which ones are those?
So
people
in Sydney we have University Technology Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
Moving across to the centre we have Uni SA, University of South Australia in Adelaide. Over in Perth, it's Curtin University. Around to Queensland University of Technology, and I can't miss out Melbourne, which is RMIT.
Of course. So, and a bit more about how the ATN has helped these universities and
Sure.
collaborate, and how the Huawei Seeds of the Future program sort of became involved.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So the 5 universities all share a very common institutional DNA. They all became universities around the same time with the Dawkins Review reforms. So they're all under 30 years of age, and so all have that sort of young, emerging status and have that agile, open culture. They've also always been very traditionally close to industry. They've been the schools of mines, schools of teaching, very close in the engineering faculties and so forth. So there's always been very good connections between industry and our universities, and a great deal of our research income comes from industry or industry-related sources.
Sure.
So the 5 grouped together under the banner of this consortium of the ATN, and the aim of that consortium is to seek out opportunities for the universities where there's an additional value proposition that wouldn't exist either for the university or the external partner.
Or the students as well.
Exactly, or the students. That wouldn't otherwise exist if they didn't group together.
Sure.
So in many cases, the strength of a national network, the greater breadth of research expertise, the wider student pools, etc., give an added value proposition. So my role is to try and find those opportunities where we can give the 5 universities and our external partners that really value-added experience. Which brings me to Huawei and the Seeds of the Future. So we've been very excited to work with Huawei now. This is our 2nd year of involvement with the program, and it gives us an opportunity to identify some of our very best and brightest students in engineering ICT fields, and they have this opportunity to come and have this intensive 2 weeks in China. Critically for us, one of the things that we find is terrific about these opportunities and working at that consortium approach is to be able to bring the students together to create a cohort that takes them outside of their institutional boundaries and puts them in a real world setting.
Sure.
So
it's very important.
From that perspective, it gives them insights into where the tech sector is going in the future, gives them insights into the broader skills that they'll need to have in addition to the tech curriculum that they're addressing, and begins their very earliest stages of giving them the great networks that they will need as they progress. So when we met with students prior to their departure, I said to them, look, in 20 years, the people in this room, you're going to be the next tech stars, the heads of divisions, the VPs, and what have you, all around the world. So make friends with each other now, because these are creating those networks that will last you for a long time to come.
Sure. Now, I know you're not an engineer, technologist like some of the students are, for example. But we did see today at Shenzhen's HQ, there was the 4G and 5G and Internet of Things showcases, and we saw an enterprise technology showcase, an incredible breadth and depth of technology that I think most people don't really know Huawei is involved in.
Yes.
And we also had a presentation from Alex Wang, the VP of Huawei's wireless marketing department, on more about their work on 5G and Internet of Things. So what were some of the things that really caught your eye and that you'll be sharing back with your staff and faculty when you're back at home?
Sure. So I think at a very broad level, what I was struck by walking around the 2 exhibition halls over the last couple of days was the absolutely broad applicability of the technology solutions that are coming out of Huawei, and I can see that there is any number of potential applications that haven't even been thought of yet, and in our discussions both today and in the last couple of days, we have been discussing the fact that there would be great potential in areas like agriculture, mining, some of those really big, very, very traditionally Australian leading sectors, to try and bring along some of this technology and not just adopt it once it's out there on the market as a productised solution, but work with the companies like Huawei that are developing the technology and begin to develop the applications and the possible use cases for it as the technology itself is also developing. So I think there's a huge potential for the technology intensive universities in Australia to work with companies like Huawei and take that journey together, which is ultimately what Australia needs very much to do, is improve that depth of collaboration between researchers and industry. And this is, I think, a really great example of how that could work well.
Definitely. So look, I always like to change gears as we get to the second last question of the interview, and that's to ask if you could please share the best piece of advice that you've ever received to help you get where you are today.
Right, okay, sure. I think the best advice I ever received, I've also spent a good deal of my career working within government bureaucracies as a civil servant, and I was told very early on in my very first role on graduation from university, never send an email if you can pick up the phone, and never pick up the phone if you can actually get up and walk and go and speak to the person face to face and make an introduction. For a shy, nervous new grad, it was great advice to get out of that comfort zone and go and make those personal connections. Over the years, I've held on to that advice, and I have found it stood me in great stead, because nothing does beat creating those personal connections. I love the way that technology enables them and makes them easier to maintain and helps all the rest of it. But delegations like the ones that we've been on in the last week have meant that we've had people from across our universities sitting in informal time with that time to think more widely and loosely and start to incubate ideas that simply wouldn't otherwise have happened. And similarly for us to become real people where we can demonstrate our passions to companies like Huawei, and so that they can begin to see that actually this is a really tangible opportunity with real people who've got real commitment.
Sure. So what would your final message be for ITY viewers and readers, and for the ATN universities and all of their students?
Sure. I think my critical message is the importance, particularly in these emerging sectors and where there's going to be ever increasing disruption, to look to the students that we have in the system today as creating the jobs and the services that you're going to require in the future. And the best way for them and their teachers, their lecturers and course coordinators, the academics at our universities, to really understand what's required is to engage fully with companies, be they small little SMEs, single sole operators, startups, right through to these multinational global giants like Huawei. And I think the more that we can build those connections and those conversations, get students out into companies for projects and get those discussions happening, the better.
Sure. Dr. Susie Robertson, thank you so much for your time. I wish you, the ATN, all the universities and the students the best of luck for the future, and I hope one day to talk to you again.
Pleasure.
Thank you.